All right, another one I've got to keep because this one I'm also rolling over in my head. Weird. Yeah, okay. Jordan Peterson was talking to a guy, and they were talking about, really, it comes down to, in Christian theology, magnanimity, sort of this idea that there are ways that if you that you make your mind overpower your will, is the idea, because your will is something that you can't, it just does, it's just there. The idea is that the mind is something that is more your thing you control. It's like the reins and the saddle on the horse of the will. Very much a Tibetan Buddhist kind of image of the wind horse, but it works. There's probably examples of this that some of you could even put in the comments by various wise characters of the past. So anyway, the thing that hit me was something that they were discussing was psychopathy, which I'm thinking, I honestly am really thinking like that Peterson is, that me zoning in on this over about the last year, I think it was probably about a year ago or more, where I was really thinking about that during that hike I took up to the Big Butte here, and thinking about that issue, and how people are like, no, that there's certain levels of it. It's kind of a feature of the human. Too much of it is you're a psychopath, and so a little of it is actually not abnormal, and so it's how do you have remorse, which is then a very interesting thing, because he gets into this idea of you actually start shaping your brain so you feel better. So not having remorse makes you start to kind of feel better. If you have remorse, you'll feel bad. And that takes your mind. You have to guide the horse through the mud and brambles. And the horse doesn't want to go that way. But you're going to have to go that way. You're going to have to take the path of pins and needles. So the thing I started to think about was, and this is what we're now seeing with the left. And this was my whole issue with the left so many years ago, and I started to really have trouble with it when I was on the left. You have to accept pain. You just have to. And it was because of static Qigong training that is very painful, and other kinds of training that you're technically working against, to some degree, pain and stress, and you have to make that into eustress. You have to learn how to kind of enjoy it a bit. You have to reprogram your mind. My teacher used to even talk about that. I'm pulling the wires out and plugging them back in different places. So then there's people that they get, no, if I'm just merciless and ruthless, and show no remorse, that they actively get, like, they kind of win over others. So there's various people and various kind of streaming scenes that at some point, the fact that they don't seem to show remorse is what is more and more people are cluing in on. Like Nuxenor and his multiple hundreds of % cooked series is, what Nuxenor is talking about is none of the people he discusses, none of these entities have remorse for what they've done. They don't show remorse. And then what hit me is, I'm like, Christianity cannot work without remorse and shame. It can't. It's not Christianity if you don't feel shame and remorse for your shortcomings, so that you try to improve yourself. That's it. That's why the deleterious mind, it also has to be avoided, because that feels good, and you have to get used to the reality of things not always feeling good. So this is, there's a lot I'm rolling around, but it's that showing, and that at a certain point it becomes very clear. You can't fake it. So now a lot of these lefty streamers, they're showing everybody, like, they can't fake it. They're about violence. They're about yielding to this animal part of the brain and not the frontal cortex. They can't win with the frontal cortex. They don't have real remorse. So they can't really convince people of things, because they don't really have the full range of human kind of feelings. They're suppressing it because they're psychopaths. Or it's not there, or they've programmed it all wrong, Yeah. Such the fake altruism of the left. Wow. That was a good video.